Motion for debate, International Women's Day. Baroness Scott of Bybrook.
My Lords, it gives me great pleasure to open this year's International Women's Day debate. But before I proceed further, I am sure you will all join me in offering our deepest condolences to the family of the late Baroness Boothroyd, a great stalwart and the first female Speaker of the House of Commons, and a noble friend of this House. It is only fitting that we acknowledge and pay tribute to the amazing legacy that Baroness Boothroyd leaves behind. I'm also very much looking forward to hearing Baroness Lampard's maiden speech today. I welcome my noble friend to this House, and I look forward to working with her in the future. We recently marked the one-year anniversary of Russia's unprovoked invasion of Ukraine. It is important to reaffirm the UK's continued support for the people and the government of Ukraine. I've very luckily had the opportunity to meet a number of times with the Ukrainian community in London and have been so inspired by the strength and the resilience of those women and children who've been so sadly displaced by this atrocious war. And I would like to send our thoughts and our prayers to them today, to say that we are with them in their struggle. My Lords, as part of our £220 million package of humanitarian assistance to Ukraine and longer-term development programming, we've had to work to prioritise protection and inclusion of the most vulnerable and hard to reach, including women and girls. I am pleased that the UK continues to demonstrate leadership and commitment to championing hard-won rights of women and girls as set out in the FCDO's new International Women's and Girls Strategy announced on the 8th of March. The strategy sets out how we will use the full weight of our diplomatic and development offer to put women and girls in all their diversity at the heart of everything we do. The strategy sets out 5 new principles. We will stand up and speak out for women and girls' rights and freedoms on the global stage and in our bilateral relationships. We will embolden and amplify the work and the voices of diverse grassroots women's organisations and movements. We will target investment towards the key life stages for all women and girls to secure the greatest lifelong and intergenerational impact. We will act for and with all women and girls impacted by crises and shocks, and we will strengthen systems, political, economic and social, that play a critical role in protecting and empowering all women and girls. The FCDO will channel activities into 3 priority areas: educating girls, empowering women and girls and championing their health and rights, and ending gender-based violence against women and girls. My Lords, the 67th session of the UN Commission on the Status of Women is well underway in New York. This is the biggest event of the global calendar on women's rights and gender equality. The priority theme for 2023 is innovation and technological change and education in the digital age for achieving gender equality and the empowerment of all women and girls. While the digital age holds exciting opportunities for the advancement of gender equality around the world, we must ensure that no one gets left behind and that women and girls are supported to participate meaningfully and that technology-facilitated gender-based violence is responded to and prevented. And I'm delighted that the UK is hosting a side event on this important subject at the UN Commission on the Status of Women. I'm also very pleased that my noble friend, Lord Ahmed, is leading our delegation to the CSW this year. His programme includes side events to discuss issues in detail and bilaterals with partners, both within the UN system and from other countries. And we welcome the opportunity to engage with global partners on this important agenda and value our engagement with civil society as part of the process. My Lords, throughout the world, International Women's Day is celebrated in numerous ways. There are events in local and regional communities and debates across countries, much like the ones that are taking place in your Lordship's house, and it is an honour to be just one part of these celebrations. Equally, it's important to acknowledge that these celebrations take place against a backdrop of growing cost of living crisis, which is disproportionately impacting on women. The government understands that people are worried about the cost of living challenges ahead. That's why decisive action has been taken to support households across the UK with a package of measures to help ease the burden while remaining fiscally responsible. This year's International Women's Day global theme, Digital Innovation and Technology for Gender Equality, a key facet of this is education, which is one of the key pathways towards achieving gender equality and remains a global priority. My Lords, this government has put education at the heart of its agenda, and I'm pleased to support the government's efforts in this area. I'm also pleased to have the opportunity to highlight the progress this government has made in the UK and around the world more widely to advance gender equality. Girls' education is a top international development priority, and the UK is committed to standing up for the right of every girl, everywhere, to access 12 years of quality education. From 2015 to 2020, the UK supported 8.1 million girls to gain a decent education. The UK committed to tackling the global education crisis through the Girls' Education Action Plan 2021 and through 2 G7 endorsed global objectives to get 40 million more girls in school and 20 million more girls reading by the age of 10 by 2026. My Lords, here in the UK, the Prime Minister, in his first speech of 2023, set out his ambition of ensuring that all school pupils in England study some form of maths to the age of 18. This reflects his mission to ensure that more children leave school with the right skills in numeracy and literacy. We are also helping our children and young people achieve their potential and recover from the impact of the pandemic. That's why we've made available almost £5 billion for education recovery, with many programmes, including the Recovery Premium, the National Tutoring Programme, and the 16 to 19 Tuition Fund, focused on helping the most disadvantaged. My Lords, as society grows its digital economy, it is critical that we position women to be successful within this economy. This government has made significant progress in increasing the number of girls studying STEM subjects, and we are keen to do more to get women into STEM careers to meet the demands of today's workforce. Girls represented 44% of all STEM A-level entries in 2021. The proportion of women entering full-time undergraduate courses taking STEM subjects has increased from 33.6% to 41.4% between 2011 and 2020. However, my Lords, in 2020, women only make up 29.4% of the STEM workforce in the UK, and worryingly, many of those women leave the workforce because they take time out for caring reasons and find it difficult to return. This government is clear that the careers of talented women should not be held back because they take time out of work to care for loved ones. That is why on International Day of Women and Girls in Science on the 11th of February, we launched a new pilot to support parents and carers back into STEM roles. And the STEM Recharge pilot builds on insight from 25 returner programmes the government has funded across the private and public sectors. My Lords, this brings me on to the topic of women's economic empowerment. As part of our International Women and Girls strategy, we are using our influence to encourage the international community and our multilateral partners to scale up their focus and activities on women's economic empowerment. The UK has successfully included gender provisions in all our free trade agreements, newly negotiated since leaving the EU. Our FTAs with Australia and New Zealand contain dedicated trade and gender equality chapters. They complement important provisions secured across the agreements, for example, on non-discrimination in the workplace, promoting women's access to digital trade, and supporting women-owned small and medium-sized enterprises. Our She Trades Commonwealth initiative has helped more than 3,500 women-led businesses since 2018, including in Ghana, Kenya and Nigeria, creating over 6,000 jobs. Domestically, the government-backed Task Force on Women-led High-Growth Enterprise was established to support women entrepreneurs, tackling investing barriers, challenging outdated gender stereotypes, and increasing the number of women-led high-growth businesses. This measure is driven by the government's ambition to increase the number of female entrepreneurs by half by 2030, equivalent to 600,000 new entrepreneurs. My Lords, I'm proud that initiatives like these and others like flexible working and parental leave will help to achieve a considerable decline in the gender pay gap, which over the last decade has fallen from 19.6% to 14.9%, with the percentage of women in employment going up from 66.5% to 72.3%. This government's commitment to improving the cost, choice and availability of childcare for working parents is central to this, especially as we know that unpaid childcare work, especially when it comes to childcare, is disproportionately done by women. My Lords, we've spent over £3.5 billion in each of the past 3 years on our early education entitlements to support families with the cost of childcare. We know the sector is facing economic challenges similar to the challenges being faced across the whole economy. So we've already announced additional funding of 160 million in 2023 and 180 million in 23-24 and 170 million in 24-25. In addition to the action we've taken to increase women's economic participation, it is imperative that every woman is able to live without fear of harassment or violence in the workplace as well as anywhere else. The government is supporting the Worker Protection Amendment of Equalities Act 2010 bill, which was introduced by the Honourable Member for Bath in the other place. This bill will strengthen protection from employees against workplace harassment, and I'm delighted to say that it had passed its report stage and third reading in the Commons on the 3rd of February. My Lords, online safety and digital access is key to achieving gender equality in today's workforce. The groundbreaking online safety bill delivers government's manifesto commitment to make the UK the safest place in the world online. This new legislation will tackle criminal activity online, protect children from harmful and inappropriate content, particularly given the rise in misogyny, and promote greater transparency and accountability for platforms. My Lords, gender-based violence threatens the lives and well-being of women and girls in all their diversity around the world and prevents them from accessing opportunities such as education, healthcare and employment, which is fundamental to their freedom and development, education, healthcare and jobs. And I'm proud that the UK is recognised internationally for preventing sexual violence in conflict initiative, committing £60 million to prevent and respond to the conflict-related sexual violence since 2012. In November last year, the UK hosted the PSVI International Conference in London with over 1,000 delegates, including survivors, civil society, multilateral partners and representatives from at least 57 countries. We also launched a new political declaration and secured endorsements from 53 countries and 14 national commitments. And we published a new PSVI strategy, backed up by 12.5 million of new funding outlining the government's approach to preventing and responding to the appalling crimes of conflict-related sexual violence. Domestically, though we're still reeling from the abhorrent crimes committed by David Garrick, it is only right that he now faces at least 30 years behind bars. The Tackling Violence Against Women and Girls strategy published in 2021 is helping to better target perpetrators and support victims and survivors of gender-based violence. This was followed in March 2022 by the Tackling Domestic Abuse Plan, which commits to investing over $230 million of cross-government funding into tackling these crimes. My Lords, improving women's health outcomes and reducing disparities is the key priority for this government and an important driver for economic growth. The first government-led women's health strategy for England marks a reset in the way in which the government is looking at women's health. For generations, women have lived with a health and care system that is mostly designed by men for men. The strategy sets out our 10-year ambition for boosting the health and well-being of women and girls and for improving how the health and care system listens to all women. The appointment of Dame Leslie Regan, the first Women's Health Ambassador, underlines this government's commitment to putting women at the heart of health services. Implementation of the strategy will ensure, among other things, better support for women experiencing menopausal symptoms, leading to better diagnosis and treatment of diseases such as endometriosis, which affects 1 in 10 women. It will helpfully remove additional barriers to fertility services as well to female same-sex couples. My Lords, as I said in my opening remarks, I'm proud to participate in today's debate, surrounded by so many champions for gender equality. I'm proud of the work that this government is doing to support women in all their diversities, in all areas of their lives. But, my Lords, I recognise that there is much more to do. I beg to move.